Where are you, sir?
I'm at home. You're looking at my porch. I'm out on my porch.
Oh,
It's a nice sunny afternoon, and
oh,
it's in the 90s down here in Florida.
oh, yeah, man.
And you're at home where?
Well, we're in Southwest England right now.
Where were you
So,
where were you born? Did you grow up around there?
actually, about 8 or 9 miles away from John,
Oh, in what's the
in
city?
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire.
Well,
I
I'm
see.
from Leeds. I
Yeah.
guess John was born in near, very close to Doncaster. Alan Holdsworth was born about 7 miles in the other direction in Bradford.
Oh, I see.
You know, I just had a. You're 12th of June, right? Is it 12th?
12th.
Yeah, we're 2 days apart. You know that.
You're the 10th, right?
I'm 14.
Oh, 14th.
Yeah.
Happy
And I
birthday.
was thinking, you know, when you were talking about this subject matter today, that this whole Gemini thing might be a factor somehow, you know, in the kind of dual aspect in music.
Oh, well, I was gonna ask you, like, how did you, like, from your beginnings, like how I no, let me put it this way. What was the first kind of music that attracted you, that made you want to do music?
Music, period. Anything.
Yeah.
Well, I guess being surrounded by it, because my dad was a great musician. He was a great arranger. He played in a kind of broadcasting big band.
Oh,
And his passion was Hispanic music and also Brazilian music. So he was a classical musician by a sort of discipline a learnt way. And the strangest paradox about him was, just briefly, was that he just would have loved to improvise, but he couldn't. He could not get past two notes. So I used to write solos for him.
huh.
I mean, they weren't very good, but I mean, he played flute. He said, "Listen, I've got 8 bars here, and you write me something, and I'll play it tomorrow."
Oh, isn't that interesting how some musicians get brought up and are and can be such good musicians, but they somehow become uh, uh, afraid of putting their own notes down.
Yeah, as if he just couldn't come to terms with. Hey, wait a minute, this is being recorded, and I've got to play something I don't know. And some people can't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
they just don't seem to be able to see their way in it at all. I mean, and are positively freaked out by that prospect, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess it's very exposing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a deep and interesting subject, because it's I think it's a common wish of all artists and all musicians, particularly, to
Mm,
want to improvise, and uh,
mm.
and improvisation basically is it's letting yourself be. Basically, it's what I see it as. You letting yourself be, letting the thought that you have be shown to another. You know, you
Mm.
have a crazy thought. Hey, there's a green monkey traveling on the ceiling over here. What's he doing? You know, like, um, and being. Don't worry about other people saying, "Oh, that guy's crazy," you know,
Yeah, yeah.
because the in our suppressed society, sometimes the imagination is is kept down. You know,
Mm.
the child the child that comes in from the yard, bringing a stick, and it's kind of magical to him. Look, Dad, this looks like a genie. And the dad says, put those thoughts out of your mind, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We're dissuaded from using our imaginations, and I think that might be part of it. But
Yeah.
to be able to expose yourself, I think, is one of the things. My dad was a band leader. He played trumpet, and,
I didn't.
actually he was a drummer first, but then he took up the trumpet and he led his band, and he wrote arrangements, and he did improvise. He was like a good sweet player. He loved Miles and Dizzy. Couldn't play like them, but had that sweet touch to his melodies.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
we both come up from musical families, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, we sure do. Yeah.
So now what?
And a dancer on the other side. Now she was a real performer.
Oh,
So, and she had rhythm, serious rhythm. So can't help feel that some of these genes somehow infiltrate into the way we are. Somehow, particularly with your dad and my father, and
well, it's a cultural thing, isn't it? You grow up around it. Like
yeah,
my dad used to bring his musicians home after after his engagement. They'd play a gig, and then I'm 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, and we're in this little 3-room apartment in Chelsea. That was the name of my town, by the way, outside of Boston, Chelsea, Massachusetts, Chelsea.
oh really?
Yeah,
But there's one.
we take all our city names from you guys, from you British guys. But anyway,
Chelsea.
so my dad would bring his musicians home after the gig, and they'd come in. I could hear them and all come in the kitchen. So I'd get up, because it was late. I guess I'd get up out of my bed, and I'd be part of the party. And they have their tuxedos on, and they have their ties loosened, and they're smoking cigarettes, and my mother's preparing, she called it fritada, which is basically putting stuff together, like whatever she had, macaroni and leftovers, and some eggs and omelets, and she was a great cook. So I used to hang out with them, and I wanted to be like them because they were so relaxed.
Mm.
That was my first introduction, like the culture was, I don't know if it was in my blood, but it was in my kitchen.
Yeah, I hear you. And by the way, we just ate what my lovely partner calls fritinis, and these are very much this egg-based and courgette and eggplant and I guess, and carrots and whatever else, and it's all got this lovely deep Mediterranean sun-dried tomato. Oh.
Oh yeah, nice.
So we just had that right now, 5 minutes
Oh.
ago. So it's so strange. You should mention this fried thing.
Yeah, it was called fritada. I don't know what it means.
Fritada.
But that was what my mother used to say, fritada. Me make him some
Yeah.
fritada. Yeah, man. So,
Yeah.
okay, one more question for you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know anyone else. The only other musician I know who even approaches your amazing abilities on both instruments is Jack DeJohnette. But his he plays good piano. He plays rudimentary piano, good piano, but not like you. You're a pianist. You can play the piano, and you're a drummer, and you can play the drums. I mean, so I don't know anyone else in the world that has those particularly two instruments. Well, almost any two instruments, because the two instruments they really both of them require different. I mean, you could see like a flute player playing alto flute, or woodwind player playing, like a clarinet player playing bass clarinet, but a drummer playing piano. That So how did that all happen? Give me a brief history.
Well, I'm guessing maybe like you, piano came first. Yeah.
Well, for me, you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, piano. Well, yeah, piano came first. It was more accessible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, maybe, and also like you, I was just trying to I was trying to get notes down as soon as I could reach them, basically. So I guess there was quite a strong leaning to. Plus, there was a piano at home, so it was like completely accessible.
Yeah.
And just trying to work out what the hell to do. And then from that point, my father was, listen, if you're going to learn piano, you're going to go to classical lessons. And I said, yes, sir. You know, always the obedient son. And but it wasn't that I realized really the advantages, certainly in terms of physicality of going through a very intense classical study and training. I'll say training because it was largely muscular, I guess. We'd spend many months on just scales at a unbelievably moderate tempo. And I was like going, oh man, you know, how long could anybody stand of this? You know, but now I see absolutely the advantages of it. But she also, I have to say, there's something else in classical piano, and I don't know if you would call it the same or if it's the same expression in the States, but you know, when you play a voicing and you have the ability for one note to ring out to the forefront of all the other notes. And she used to call this tops because it was invariably the top line of the chord. And you know, man, that's still with me today.
Yeah.
It's just playing a C minor ninth, and that ninth is ringing out there.
Yeah.
And I hear that. It's interesting to hear that in other players too. And they hear, oh, tops. Yeah, they've got tops.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
In other words,
So,
they know how to play the melody.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So how did the drums get in there?
Well, the drums really became because I was going kind of quietly hysterical with the whole classical, mainly because of the competitional enforced, like the enforced thing to have to compete up against another pianist on a rostrum and be a classical performer or
Oh,
concert performer. And that idea, even at that age, didn't lie with me too well.
yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm listening to Inner Space, my first excellent double album from you. This is, I guess that came out in '73. So I'm 13 then. And I'm overwhelmed between you and Bill Evans. I have to improvise. And but what was involved in there was when I heard, as I say, my first album of you, Inner Space, with Joe Chambers and Woody Shaw, right? I heard this articulation that was so on it and so deeply rooted, and you had this this way of playing with absolute rhythmic majesty. Really, it was really coming over, like it was so in and of rhythm. And this was very clear to me, I think, subconsciously, so much so that when I heard lesser players, and I don't mean to, I certainly won't mention any names, but when I heard people who didn't really have that to the extent, I thought, where's the rhythm? Where's the blood? Where's the guts? Where's the center of all that? I mean, I hear good notes, but I don't hear them put in that great place. And that would range from your comping behind other people. And before long, I went into this big imagination about this. What is this rhythm? Is it so? Because I feel it to be apparent in rubato, in abstract even, because there's a timing, isn't there? There's an eloquence where you put that thing at what time. and when behind a soloist, and how you're digging in with bass and drums at the same time, with all this beautiful, deep rhythm feeling to everything. And I was watching drummers in everything.
You were watching drummers. So then how did you, by the way, just as an aside, because you haven't answered the question yet, but no, that's okay. But if you listen to Inner Space at in 1973, maybe just as a historical or hysterical reference, you should you should know that the recording was made in 1965. And it was my first solo album, and naively I went into the studio and recorded everything I had been rehearsing with my quintet, which was those guys, which was Joe Chambers and Steve Swallow and Woody Shaw and Joe Farrell.
Yeah.
We recorded way more than an album, and at that time, in those days, you know, the LP was, there was no CD. It was the LP, so they only could have like what is it? What's the
20
side,
minutes per side. Huh?
what's the side of an LP?
20.
20 minutes, right?
I think 20 minutes aside. Yeah.
So, you know, not knowing anything about contracts or deals or anything like that, I took my payment and I went out. I didn't even see the record until 6 months later in the record store. But when Inner Space came out, it was the first record which was really Tones for Jones Bones, and additional tracks which we recorded that day, all in the same day. See?
Yeah.
And they called it Inner Space, and they put it out again, and I never saw any royalties from that. No, it's just an interesting sideline to how the Inner Space then, because the tune Inner Space actually was not on Tones for Jones Bones, I don't think, or was it? I can't remember now. Anyway,
I remember Letha.
The what?
Letha.
Oh, Letha was on Tones for Jones Bones. Yeah. Yeah, there was the Kurt Weill tune, This Is New, that we did.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Kurt Weill. Anyway, let's circle back around to my question to you. So like,
okay.
The piano and the drums. You told me you started on the piano, and then this rhythmic interest, and then. But I mean, that's you didn't just mess around with the drums. You become an amazing drummer.
Well, I think I was just watching and exposed to the right people, and I was seeing, once again, you with the Return to Forever, and Lenny and Billy, of course, and really this is the time, wasn't it? That all this merging of all these wonderful meeting points in music, the jazz rock time with Tony and Williams and the Lifetime and of course everything that came after. So I was just like buying albums as soon as I could afford them.
Yeah.
And just away with it. And the whole thing was just, I mean, there was just rhythm. It had to be, Chick. And it wasn't that I ever thought I want to give up piano, because I realized I could never really do without piano. It's just that maybe it represented itself as being one half of maybe a whole, and the drums could represent the other half. Yeah. So I got into thinking of it like that, really, and that so much so they both became important because of how important and integral they were to each other, and seeing the benefits, albeit in a way of looking back now, I can really see what one instrument gave the other, and what that instrument gave back, vice versa.
Did you
So
were you gigging uh, on the drums and piano at the same time? Like do like you'd gig as a pianist or you'd gig as a drummer and you do both, or
yeah,
like how did you mix that
yeah.
up?
I did. I'd invariably gig as a drummer. I became like a working hotel dinner dance drummer, you know.
Oh,
I
so
was good at waltzes and the cha-cha melody and everything else. And I had a solo in that. So, you know, that was,
so there was more work for the drums.
yeah, there was. But it was almost as if I thought, I went through that particular time. I thought, I'll keep the piano more for me, more for writing and experimenting and whatever, and not really become a performing player as much as drums. So that came later. That came actually much later.
Oh,
But the piano was always there. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's amazing, man.
No.
Yeah, seeing you play with John and devastate both instruments is pretty startling.
Oh yeah, too kind, Seth. Way too kind to me.
And
But
that project that you sent me, your number of albums that you sent me that are like a set. What is that called again? That incredible set of music that I was listening to,
uh,
or was it just random stuff you sent me? I thought it was a set.
there was one called Dirty and Beautiful. That was 2 volumes with lots of guests.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
that was one.
and then
Like a
I
great
just
variety of tunes and of your
yeah,
compositions.
yeah, a lot of them. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. It was like having a big party and like inviting all your favorite people.
Great stuff, man. And then
Oh,
the other one was
you're
your
still on the list, though. Please.
okay. Well,
I'll
that's
get
what
you one day.
we're going to talk about it.
Yeah,
And the other one was your a fantastic duet project with the guitarist.
thank you, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's I'm just ready to get involved and try something new, particularly if
What was that
there's
called? What was that called? That duet project?
well, there are actually 3 now. But I think the first one I did was called Now,
What's his
with
name? What's his name?
Alex Makicek.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, wonderful. Great
Yeah,
stuff.
thank you, sir.
And then
Yeah,
the other one that sticks out in my mind that made a big impression on me was your solo piano album.
thank you, sir.
All of those compositions and the way you laid that down, man. You're an undiscovered gem, man.
I don't. Can we talk about payment later? The residuals. No, man. It's. I'm always touched and beyond flattered. I can't tell you. But listen, I mean, I really have to hold true to what really moved me and shaped me was man. You know, I was tuning into you, and when Light of the Feather came out, this was like the most modern way of rhythm sections working and soloing and sound and of course with the Rhodes piano and stuff, but you always had this stirring rhythmic vibrancy, and I was always attracted, and as far as I'm concerned, all the greats along with yourself have that, you know. So I mean, this was always firmly part of my aspiration. I have to get rhythm together, you know. You don't listen, you go to Spain, what is a flamenco musician without rhythm?
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
then only 2 weeks ago, I read something a young guitar player said. He said, you know, let's face it, rhythm is something we have to kind of get through until we get to the solo when we really start having
What does that mean?
fun. You know,
That
and
has no
that kind
meaning.
of, I was like,
Yeah, no,
whoa,
he missed the word rhythm. You're gonna have to look it
yeah,
up in a dictionary.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Whatever. Yeah.
how can you not? I don't really understand that at all. But I did read one musician say that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know,
So
I found the instrument which I'm loving more and more, which is if the piano is well, let's put the drums over here on my left hand here. This is my left hand.
Yeah.
Drums over here, because it's so basic, hitting on something, right? The drums, just so you strike it and boom, you got it, there it is, you know. And then you got the piano, which is a very sophisticated machine based on striking, right? I always describe the piano to my friends as 88 drums, 88 tuned drums, you know, with 10 sticks, right? So you got the basic drums over here, which is, when you say drums, also, see, when you say piano, you now, since 200 years, it's been 88 keys and they're tuned a certain way. So it's a pretty fixed instrument. The drums are like, you know, what drums? How many drums? How do you tune them? Do you mean a drum kit? Or do you mean hand drums? Or what drums? See, so you got this basic instrument, drums, and the piano. But in between, I found this instrument that I really love, which also comes from drums. It's like drums hit the piano somewhere in the sky above Africa, and you have a marimba. Not a xylophone,
No,
not a vibraphone, which
wood.
is wood. You have a marimba. So so I'm now, because the marimba is now like has the tuning of a piano, but it has the striking, the direct striking of a stick, a mallet on wood, and it's a beautiful sound, you know. So I have my marimba now that I'm practicing, and of course I spent all of those years with Gary Burton in terms of mallet technique. I mean, my God, mallet, four mallets, what he can do with 4 mallets, unbelievable. So
Unbelievable.
that's my triumvirate right now.
Right.
Now the drums I'm way behind on. So on another, I won't bore everybody now, including you, but every time I get on with, like I had a chat with Steve Gadd the other day, and every time I get on with a great drummer, I'm always asking the stupid question, how do I get my left hand to sound like my right hand? You know, because I'm still working on really basic rudiments with my hands to just be able to play a nice clean roll, or double and single strokes and so forth, and then getting around them and coordination. That's just a matter of doing it, you know. But the marimba is my new passion, man.
Is that right? So you've got one set at home. Are you going to be integrating this in this exciting academy? Because this is so inspiring, and what an initiative this is.
I think this would be a good portion. This whole conversation about your upbringing in classical music and how you came around to how you think about the importance of rhythm and what you did about it, which was learn to play the drums like a word that I can't use in front of people. Because I'm not George Carlin. Oh my God.
Oh man. Well, can I ask you one question? Just have there been any situations for you, either in the writing or conception stage, or even at like a recording studio situation where you're performing and getting these recordings down, where you have wished, damn, I wish I was on drums on this?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I know what you mean conceptually, and actually, on Tones for Jones Bones, my first solo album, there are 2 tracks. Well, one that I can remember that I tracked myself on drums. It was the track on that record is called Lenore, and I played drums on that track. And then the track, it sounded okay. I thought, oh, okay, I got it. Then Steve Gadd came in and we recorded these other tracks on the record. And when I heard Steve playing, I thought, I can't just leave the track Lenore with me playing drums, not with Steve here now. So I had Steve go in and overdub his drums over my synth bass and keyboards, and that's what's on the recording. But the initial,
Ah,
so I often do when I'm I mean my passion for drums is like yours, equal to the piano.
I
And
know.
when I get asked questions about, well, how do you play with the drummer? He's like, how do you play? How do you know where the drummer's beat is, or something like that? And it's true. And it's true when I play with a drummer I haven't played with before, or I haven't played with for a long time. Like, take Marcus Gilmore, for instance, my
Mm,
young drummer.
mm,
So, when you're playing with a drummer like Marcus, or like you, or like any of the great drummers, you in order to play together, like playing together with anyone, you have to understand what your partner is doing. It's
mm,
real simple. And if you don't
mm,
understand that when he goes, that if you didn't understand all of that, what he's doing, you're gonna
mm.
you're gonna be not understanding what he's doing, right?
Right.
So
Or
so
or panic.
or
Or,
panic, or
yeah.
make it, or say, well, screw that, I'll just put the time where I hear it, you know.
Yeah.
So so what I'm saying is that the effort on my part was always to, like, if Marcus, like, we're trading fours and Marcus is playing some stuff, I go, what? And then he comes back in and he's perfectly relaxed. So after the set is over, I go, Marcus, play that shit for me. Play what you play. He said, what? Play what? What? And then I have to try to describe to him, well, that thing where, and he says, you mean, yeah, play me some of that. So then he breaks it down a little bit for me, and he just shows me what he's doing. I say, play what? And then so I get him to describe to me, you see, what it is, and then number of times over, and I've had to do that with every sophisticated drummer I've played with. I've had to really
Yeah.
get inside his polyrhythms, and
Yeah.
but once you do, like Roy Haynes, I was able to spend enough time with Roy to
Yeah.
get inside his really intricate, beautiful, where he lays the beat down, and that's the beauty of it. So when I'm working, circling around to your question, when I'm working in composing and in the studio, I can conceive drum wise through, almost vicariously through my understanding of these other drummers, not my own drumming, because my own drumming technically is at a way lower level, but I can conceive 100 times more than I can play. So I'll think in terms of Philly Joe Jones, or I'll think in terms of Jack DeJohnette, or I'll think in terms of Roy Haynes, and I'll try to describe what I want or hear. Or sometimes I'll try to play a really uh, uh, um, bastardized version of what I hear for the drummer that I'm playing with. I say, can you do something like that? And then he sits
Mm.
down, he does something like, woo, you know what I mean? But but
Yeah. Yeah.
drummers are in the drummers in the Afro-Cuban tradition are called priests. They're priests, and the priests are the ones who hold the secret mysteries. The priests hold the secret mysteries, and the only way you're going to understand what the priest, because the priest is talking to, well, the myth is he's talking to God. Really, he's talking to himself. He understands his own sophistication, but no one else does. So, right?
Yeah.
Right? So, but that's the that's how I think. I think in terms of drummers like yourself and Vinnie Colaiuta and Tony Williams are priests. and you have to learn.
Oh,
You have to learn their secrets.
well, wow. Well, okay, tell me this. Do you hear the voices you left behind? Remember this track? This track from John on electric guitarist? And you're there with Stanley and Jack.
Oh,
and it's the Giant Steps, very Giant Steps vibe.
That's John's tune?
Yeah.
Right. I sort of remember it, not clearly.
Oh, how you all play on there? But I was just curious. I mean, I'll nail you for this some other time maybe, but it just sounds. It's got such a beautiful energy and edge to it. And Jack is not holding back on ambiguity, not at all. And so he's taking 8 bars here and there, and I have been listening to that record since 1976, and I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah, 8.5 bars here and 7 3/4 bars there. And
well, you know, I mean, but why isn't it clear? And I'm thinking it's just beyond me. That's all. You know, and I'm thinking, but is it with some people that it's just not quite on, or it was meant to be this, but it wasn't quite. You know, it's strange.
I think I'm following you. First of all, what is called Voices We Left Behind?
Yeah, do you hear the voices we left behind?
Whose record is that? Stanley's or John's?
It's John's record, Electric Guitarist.
Oh, right, electric guitars. I'm going to go and review that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and review it. But, you know, my final thought on this particular conversation thread about rhythm and drummers is that, because I just flashed on something really interesting, which is you were talking about Jack DeJohnette's trades and so forth. I think sometimes about Roy Haynes's trades and other drummers and just playing in general, and there's a difference between an approach that goes in and out of strict rhythm and an approach that stays on very strict rhythm, like what happened in the 70s when guys started playing to clicks, is that a way of playing developed where some drummers call, you guys, I shouldn't say you guys because it might not be you call it subdivisions. You know, you take a da 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 and you turn it into da 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 subdivisions, right? Subdivisions, and the subdivisions are so spot on. Like I did a track a couple of months ago with Vinny Calu to put some drums on this thing I wrote, and because it was to a click, and because he was playing to a click, and he's so good at that, he put some unbelievable subdivisions to this click. But when I listened over and over again, I could see how he was breaking them down like so perfectly. Whereas there's another approach, which Jack takes and Elvin takes and sometimes Tony takes. And Roy takes sometimes, which is, it's a little bit looser. It's like it's not a strict time. It's a phrase, you know. When they go da 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 da, right? Now you could do that da 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 da.
And there's
exactly, and it's a thing where the rhythm can get stretched, not only in a drum trading on a trading fours or something, but also within the song itself. It's you know what I mean, and I love that. I love that. I mean, I love both ways to be precisely bingo, and then to be able to stretch it so that it has another kind. In fact, hip hop, some of the hip hoppers they've even got a name for this. I don't. What did the hip hoppers call this thing where you got a click beat going, and then the background is.
Oh yeah, it's lazy on it.
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's all over.
Yeah,
You got a name for that, like a hip name for that. So
yeah, I bet.
so what I'm trying to say, all in all, is that when when more than one musician is playing, with two or more, it's a communication, is what it is. It's a rapport and a communication. You're either making something together that is homogeneous and has a integrity about it and makes music, or you're kind of not knowing what the other one's doing, you know.
Mm, mm, mm. Straight. It's very interesting. All very interesting.
Yeah, it's all very interesting. So,
I'm really a fan of everybody from the abstract to the inside guys. You know?
I know.
It's just when it's happening, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. How about
Can
that?
can I just tell you that it's just such a
Okay.
privilege and such a huge pleasure to always talk to you. Inspirational pleasure. So thank you for that. Thank you for having me here.
Well, it's likewise, man. It's like we just haven't done this enough. We've had this like long distance mutual admiration going on for a long time now. And,
oh man, well,
yeah, time to do
that
something.
always amazes me. But it's certainly been that. I mean, what you've made so much for me to aspire to, and everybody in my position, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, all this music, and it never stops coming. So we all owe you, man, and we're indebted to you.
Oh man, well, you're quite welcome, and you bring it around, so it's quite equal equal an equal exchange.
Thanks.
All right.